There you go. I just hit the record button, so you are all aware that we are recording. Before we get started, I'll go ahead and read the emergency notice of the electronic meeting. The meeting of the Charlottesville Albemarle Metropolitan Planning Organization is being held pursuant to item 4.0-01 of the approved state budget that allows public bodies to hold electronic meetings in the current COVID-19 emergency, and that it is impracticable or unsafe to assemble in a single location, and that the purpose of the meeting is to discuss or transact the business statutorily required or necessary to continue operations of the public body. This meeting is being held via electronic video and audio means through Zoom online meetings and is accessible to the public with closed captioning, and there will be an opportunity for public comment during that portion of the agenda. Notice has been provided to the public through notice at the TJPDC offices, to the media, website postings, and agenda. The meeting minutes will reflect the nature of the emergency. The meeting was held by electronic communication means and the type of electronic communication means by which the meeting was held. A recording of the meeting will be posted on our website within 10 days of the meeting. All right, and with that, I will go ahead and take roll. Ms. Malik?
Present in Albemarle County.
Okay, great. Mr. Galloway?
Present.
Mr. Payne?
Here.
Mr. Snook?
I'm here.
And Mr. Lynch is not here. Ms. Laundrie?
Here.
Okay. Ms. Davis with Jaunt? Ms. Monteith with UVA?
Here.
Mr. Williams with CAT?
Here.
Mr. Hudson with DRPT?
Here.
Mr. Duran with FHWA?
Here.
Mr. Long with FTA? Mr. Fussell with CTAC? And then I, Sandy Shackelford, I'm present for the TJPDC. All right, Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, well, we'll just move on to agenda item 2, matters from the public. If there's anyone in attendance who would like to speak on any transportation related topic, including the items listed on the agenda, raise your hand in the Zoom chat and I will call on you to speak.
Not see any hands raised at this time.
All right, seeing no one, I'll close public comment and move us on to agenda item 3, general administration, where we'll need an amendment to move forward at today's meeting with agenda item 4, but table all other items until our June 23rd meeting, if there's a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, you want to take a vote?
Sure, yes. I'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Snook?
Yes.
And Ms. Laundrie?
Yes.
All right. So for anybody following along, that means that we will go ahead and move forward with the public hearing on the UPWP, but all the other business will be tabled until our meeting on June 23rd.
I think it would probably be appropriate, in case anybody cares, to tell people why. And that's because Mr. Payne and I have to bug out at 4:30 to go have a meeting with the school board and city council meeting jointly to talk about the school configuration project. So
thank you, Mr. Snook.
All right, on to agenda item 4, the public hearing for the Unified Planning Work Program. Should we do the staff report before the public hearing?
Yes, I'll go ahead and do that. Let me pull up my screen. Hold on. There we go. All right. So we have been talking in the last couple of meetings about the programming for the UPWP, and at the meeting last month I had developed a couple of alternative scenarios for recommending some of the unprogrammed funding at that point that we had some discretion on. So just as a reminder, we had already allocated funding as of the March discussion for the administrative tasks, for the short range transportation planning tasks, and for these first 3 items under the long range transportation planning tasks, the Route 29 North Corridor study, the 2050 development of the scope of work for the long range transportation plan, and then to do some strategic planning for the MPO. So really what we were left with was about $50,000 of funding that we had a couple of different initiatives that we wanted to get feedback on you all, what would have been your preference for what to move forward with for programming. And what you all had indicated is that you would like us to allocate some funding to support the climate action initiatives that the local governments had prioritized through our transportation planning process. And so we developed a framework for what that study would look like to basically be planning for how to incorporate some of those climate action goals into our long range transportation plan update when we start that in fiscal year 23. So that's what we have programmed that money for in the draft UPWP. The rest you had indicated the balance, which was $20,684. You had indicated that you would like to remain unprogrammed at this point, to have it available if there was another opportunity that came up that had not been identified at this point. And so we added that amount to this on-call services, which would allow us to do exactly that, basically to have staff, time, and resources available for an undetermined project at this point that might come up throughout the year. So that is what has been published in the UPWP for your consideration tonight. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, what I would recommend is that you go ahead and hold the public hearing and then move forward with the vote on whether you would like to go ahead and adopt the UPWP as presented or with any additional revisions.
All right. Are there any questions or comments from the board? All right. Seeing none, I will move on to opening up the public hearing. If there is anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this agenda item, click the raise hand icon in the Zoom webinar, and I will call on you to speak.
I do not see any hands raised at this time.
Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. We're looking for a vote to adopt the resolution, correct?
Correct, yes, either as presented or if there are any revisions you would like to have made.
Is there a motion or any discussion from the board?
The question.
Yes.
So our jurisdictions, transportation staff have thought about and weighed in with you on ways that you think this climate change work could be implemented. Is that correct?
We have presented it to the MPO technical committee and they've had the opportunity to provide feedback. We will continue to work really closely with the localities as we develop this moving forward though.
Okay, because each jurisdiction may have a different approach and we want to make sure we're covering those bases. Thank you very much.
I know the unprogrammed money that we put in, which I think is a good idea. Some things like that, we could go a year and forget that it's there. Is there a mechanism that, or like a parking lot, like if staff or MPO board members have ideas that could be considered for that we can park them in there and then, you know, maybe it's 6 months or some time frame it comes back, or we just revisit that parking lot items. It's just a phrase or a process we use when we do budget in Albemarle. I just want to make sure that it doesn't just go unused when it could be put to good use somewhere.
Sure. I think we do have some programs potentially, or some projects on the horizon that we may be requested to support from the local government staffs that might be of interest. So I think that's already sort of unofficially happening, and we would bring that to your attention. I can make a note just to make sure that's an agenda topic, you know, maybe in December or January around then, to come back and visit. I do want to let you know, though, Mr. Galloway, that this is all in the FHWA portion of the budget allocations, which means that if we do not program this and we end up not spending this funding, it will automatically roll over in 2 years, even if we don't do anything actively. So we will not lose that funding regardless.
Thank you for that.
Any other further questions or discussion? Yes.
That gave me another question, and that is, so are there certain categories for this unprogrammed money that we should remember? As far as if it's FHWA, they're going to have certain areas of focus that we should think about when we're thinking of using that money.
Do you want to respond, either Stacy or Chuck or Richard?
It wouldn't be, this is Chuck. No, there wouldn't be any stipulations on it. It would just have to be, you'd have to amend the UPWP to identify the item and put that funding in that item in your UPWP.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or discussion?
If there's no further question or concern, I'm glad to move adoption of the UPWP as presented.
Second.
All right, can you take a roll call vote?
Yes. Ms. Malik?
Yes.
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Snook?
Yes.
Ms. Laundrie?
Yes.
And Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Very good. Motion passes.
All right, so I guess that's it until June.
Yeah, so yeah, the next meeting will be on June 23rd. If you're on our mailing list, I have already sent out a calendar invitation. So that should already be on your calendars, and I will send out the agenda and remind you all at least a week or hopefully more ahead of time. So thank you all, and I hope your meeting with the board, the school board tonight goes quickly and productively for you Charlottesville folks.
Thank you.
How great that we have the capability.
Yes.
To have the capability of Zoom to do a 15-minute meeting instead of an hour in the car is so.
It is. So I'll look forward to seeing you all for a bonus meeting in June next month.
Thank you all.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.